Well, yeah. So first of all, I want to say thank you so much again for having a sit down with me. And hello and welcome. Okay, so this is an episode called Behind the Scenes, where we'll be following some of my favorite actors like yourselves, creatives like yourselves, and whilst you try to make it in your exciting, oversaturated industry, that feels like work can be fun. You know, that's the main thing
Mhm.
about this industry, and it makes work feel like it's fun.
Hmm.
So, how are you? First of all, I really want to ask you, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah?
doing great. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
doing fantastic.
fantastic. Great. So, do you want to quickly just to introduce yourself and all the amazing things that you do and are doing currently?
Okay, so I'm Aiden Pacheco. I'm an aspiring film editor. Um, Basically, I'm trying to get into the industry as we speak right now.
Yeah.
I do some freelance editing on the side, just short films, podcasts, whatever needs to be edited and uploaded onto platforms such as YouTube and all sorts of other social media.
Yeah.
Um, I'm a master's student as well, currently studying post production in film and television, which is pretty fun so far. I'm enjoying the course. All my course mates are, they're friendly people, so and I
Oh,
wish them all the
amazing.
best. So,
Amazing.
yeah, yeah, it's all seeming to go pretty well so far. I mean, uh, everything now with COVID hasn't made things easy in terms of work and all that, but I'm still trying my best anyway, making the best out of the situation. So yeah, I've done some things in the past with a production group. We basically made short films. I think we made over about 14, and I had the opportunity to do all sorts of things, edit them, shoot them, act in them, even.
Wow.
Yeah,
Multi-talented. Yes.
yeah. I think
That's
I've
what we
acted. I
like.
think I've acted in mostly all the ones that we did. To be honest, I'm in there somewhere.
Wow. Ah, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, it sounds like you're doing so many different things. That's really good and amazing to hear.
yeah.
So
Thank you.
yeah, let's get started. First, I want to start with a little icebreaker, quick fire round for my nerves mainly.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm going to ask you 5 questions and then you answer them quickly with the first thing that comes to mind. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay, fantastic. So first question is, what does vulnerability mean to you?
Vulnerability. Vulnerability means to me being able to, I don't know, it means quite a few things. So I think vulnerability in terms of being creative is being able to sort of open yourself up to lots of criticism, basically. I don't think you can get where you need to be in the creative industry if you can't do something like that, because it is a very people from all over the world can watch your stuff like wherever you upload it.
Yeah.
So if you allow yourself to be open and vulnerable to people seeing you and seeing your work, then yeah, that's partly what vulnerability means to me, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Cool. Nice. And define being brave. What does being brave
being
mean to you?
being brave means that you can step up to something. You can have the drive to actually reach your goals and to do just anything that you put your mind to. You don't let fear, you know, grab a hold of your mind.
Mhm.
You can find ways to step up when you need to actually, show off who you are and what you can do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, in there. Stepping up to play, whether it's for yourself or others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Good one. And what movie did you last watch that made you both cry and laugh?
Oh, that's a tough one. Um, I'd say the last one that made me cry was and laugh was probably Soul. So I don't know if you've seen it.
I'm not
It's on
familiar
Disney
with that.
Plus.
No.
It's on Disney Plus. It's
Yeah.
recent. It came out on Christmas, I think.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Nice.
this Christmas just gone by,
Yeah.
um, and it's about this jazz musician
Yeah.
who basically his dream is to basically make it. He's a piano player and he wants
Mm-hmm.
to make it and he wants to make a name for himself because his family consists of quite a lot of famous black jazz players, basically,
Yeah.
who came to America and just kind of opened the doors, just smashed it wide open and said, this is jazz, this is our culture, this is what we want, to fill America with.
Yeah.
And so he starts off with, in the film, he's a teacher, and he feels like he's just not gotten to where he wants to go. He's kind of bummed that he's not as big as his family members have been. And his family's sort of, they're trying to protect him, so they're kind of holding him back because they don't want him to step out and get burnt. But he wants to step out, and eventually they do come round, and that's very emotional sort of thing. But it's him on his way to an opportunity, and unfortunately, in a very cartoonic way, he dies. But his soul sort of goes to like the great beyond.
Okay.
And he basically is like, I'm not having this. I've just made it. I still have the rest of my life. I'm not going. And he like turns the other way and he runs, and he manages to find a way out. But instead of going to the great beyond, he goes to the great beginning.
Wow, he really said no to the light.
Yeah. So it's like, instead of people passing over, it's people that are just beginning to start their lives. Basically, it's like they're split up into departments. Basically, He found a way into that one, and he manages to find a way to break through that and get back onto Earth. But he's just not in his own body. He manages to inherit someone else's body by mistake, and he's got to try and find a way to get his own body back.
Get his own body back. Where is his body at this point, actually? Because he's been dead for a little bit.
I think he's like in between. I think his original body is like in a coma, basically.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, it's just in the hospital.
So there's still a chance. Yeah, there's still a chance to get to it.
So yeah, but I'd say there was a lot of moments in that made me very emotional. And there was some funny moments in there too. So I definitely give that a watch.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I'll definitely give that a watch. Yeah, I love a movie that can bring out a range of emotions for me, like can take me on a journey. So so that's great. And so tell me how you show up for your friends and family.
How I show up. Oh, that's a tough one. How do I do that?
I promise all the other questions are a bit better. Deep.
I can handle the deep questions, but this one I'm just like, wow, why is this so difficult? I'd say how I show up for my friends and family, or is it just family?
Yeah. Friends and family. But you can choose them on friends or family.
Okay. I'd say I just try and be there in the moment with them. I try and show them everything that I want to give, and if I can portray myself in a way that lends me their support and shows that I can be there in whatever kind of setting, either that's like a familiar setting, a professional setting, whatever, then I'm going to do it. And I just want family members and friends to feel like they can rely on me, and be like just a strong force in their life, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah, being present, that's like really what I try to do as well, especially now with everything that's going on. We can't see each other, but doesn't mean we can't still be present in each other's lives in numerous like through Zoom, like we're doing now.
yeah, exactly.
So, and the last question is, if you could reset your life, which point would you reset it to? So from that point again.
Oh, okay.
But you locked everything you've done to that point.
So everything I've done till that point is just a matter
locked,
of everything.
And then you can reset everything after. Yes.
Okay. I'd say I wouldn't go back pre-college, I don't think. Yeah. I don't want to live through all that again. And to be honest, there's a lot of things pre-college that I did that I think if I didn't do wouldn't make me who I am now. Whereas I feel like in college, I was a bit confused with where I wanted to go in terms of like my creative endeavors and what I specifically wanted to do in the
Mm-hmm.
industry.
Yeah.
Because now I know, but I wish I had known then so that I could at least plan a little bit more ahead. And I had more opportunities that I didn't see on my plate at
Yeah.
that point that
Yeah.
if I had taken, I feel like would have definitely helped me out now. But I mean, there's no going back. But if I was to be able to do that, then yeah,
Yeah.
I'd go back to around about when I was in college, about 16, 17, and
Yeah.
just have been like, yep, you want to get into post production, video editing, and there's a great opportunity around the corner that you should put your time into because this will definitely help you out like later down the line.
Yeah. Yeah. So the podcast, as you know, it's called Behind the Scenes. So whilst you're trying to make your mark, basically, is what I want to know. So first thing, can you please tell me how you actually got into post-production and what that involves?
Okay. So I first got into post production in about halfway through university,
Mm-hmm.
my undergraduate. So uh, I had just made the production like little team with a few friends because we
Oh,
wanted to create more stuff for our portfolio.
mm-hmm.
Um, and I think it was a case of I knew I wanted to shoot films and I wanted to film them and like act where I can because I do enjoy just being silly in front of the camera.
Yeah.
So, um, but I think it went from that to slowly I sort of realized that I enjoyed the editing
Mm.
aspect more.
Yeah.
I was just kind of not losing my passion for the filming, but just things were shifting in the more editing
Mm-hmm.
direction, in the more post production sort of things. I liked to see the final product come together, which you that's what you do in post production. You see everything that's in the final thing come together and ship off.
Yeah.
Um, whether that be anything with sound, editing the actual footage, just any extra little bits you need to add on here and there to make it whole. Um, so I guess that's how I got into it. Was just a case of I just wanted to change it up, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I enjoyed the other aspects of filming. Still
Yeah.
enjoy the rest of it, but I just enjoy that more.
Yeah.
Um, and then in terms of what was the other question? Sorry.
And I just want to know what that sort of involves, but I think you've covered that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I pretty much covered both in one, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that like I think not a lot of people know what actually goes into the whole post production thing. I think when people hear video editing, they just hear, I'm going to edit the actual video
Yeah.
itself, and I'm going to edit and maybe the audio, and that's basically it. But not a lot of people think about that. You have things like Foley artists who go out and create their own sounds to then put into the audio. You have
Mm-hmm.
people like colorists and gradists, and a colorist will basically go and make the footage sort of to its original aspect. So when you film something and you upload it onto a computer, it will come out different. Like you'll
Oh, okay.
either lose quality of the image or the colors will change.
Mm-hmm.
And their job is to basically make it so it looks exactly how you filmed it, which is
Oh,
always a bonus because that's what you do. Like you want to
yeah. You
film
want the
something because it
quality.
looks that way,
Yeah.
and when you upload it and you see it's not like that, you're just like, oh, I
Yeah.
wish it was. So that's what their job is, and a gradist is basically to add aesthetic. So if you look in films, if there's lighting that's like, it's taking something like if you're out in the street and it's dark and you've got like a street lamp, well, you could make that street lamp without touching anything else into like a purple hueish color, which makes it
Uh,
look more retro 80s aesthetic.
yeah.
It's just providing that little thing that makes a scene and makes you think, oh, this is a horror, oh, this is a drama, things
Yeah.
like that. So yeah.
Yeah, because I think as viewers as well, we certainly do look for those things, those little clues in the background, but we don't actually realize that it's all part of the movie, you know, like you said, like the hues of a street light and stuff like that. So we don't actually realize that that is actually a specific job for somebody. So that's very, I certainly didn't realize that as well. You know, when I thought editing, I just thought I'll give you a video and, you know, you put a slogan on the screen or you cut a bit of stuff and add a bit of music and that's it. So, you know, if you hadn't gone to uni, how would you have taught yourself? Like you said, like online, YouTube tutorials. Yeah.
Definitely. Like YouTube tutorials, all sorts. I think I can't remember the name of it now, but there is a website. I might have to look it up later on. But there's a website where you can, I think it's like a monthly payment, and there's people on there that will teach everything and anything. And they have like weekly classes and stuff that they'll record, and then you just have to follow through. So it's always possible to learn these programs. And even if you don't have, I guess, the money, so it's different if you're wanting to do something that involves equipment. But if you have access to a laptop or a computer and you want to do something like editing, there will be ways to find free programs. You don't have to just say, oh, well, I need a program like Premiere Pro or something, but it's like £16 a month if you're a student, even more if you're not, which is kind of ridiculous. But thank God I'm a student. But yeah, exactly. But a good alternative to that is a program called DaVinci Resolve. That's completely free, and it does a lot of the same sort of editing stuff, and you can still be just as creative. Yeah, there's always an option out there. You don't have to, you know, stoop down to buying something if you don't want to or can't afford it. There will be a free alternative. You just have to look for them.
Look for it. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And in regards to like the internet and everything, do you think social media, like within your industry specifically, makes a big difference in regards to networking and getting your work recognized by these companies?
Oh, for sure, definitely. If you can get your work recognized by a company on social media, or someone that's like big on social media, someone that's verified basically, then yeah, that's a huge help, because then it's getting your name out there. People will spread your name around. Networking opportunities will come up because people will want to talk with you and collaborate with you if you have work that's interesting. Because there will be like-minded people on there that want to do the same stuff. So yeah, social media is definitely important, especially for more upcoming individuals such as myself. It's just, especially in this industry, you need to use social media to your advantage. It's not completely the be all and end all. There are different ways, but I'd say, especially if you wanted to do something like make YouTube videos and possibly make money off of them, then you'll need to use social media well. I really hate it when celebrities and other individuals hop on social media and they're just like, I'm just going to delete it. You don't need social media. Just enjoy life. And it's like, well, you can say that because your name's out there. Like, someone like me can't afford to do that. I need to use it. So
Selena Gomez, she'll just go off Instagram and drop an album and it'll still be like #1 or something, you know?
Exactly.
But no promo or nothing, but everybody knows.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Absolutely, yeah. So some, like myself, might say that the creative industry is becoming oversaturated. You know, everyone wants to be in film or YouTuber or in the public eye somewhat. Do you think that's actually the case now, or do you think that because we're being exposed to everything and we see that there are more chances and there are different jobs that we can do, that people are now going for it than just everybody trying to sort of like, you know, be a public figure and have like a blue tick next to their name, basically?
Right. Yeah. So I think that it comes down to, I feel like some parts are probably oversaturated, some parts of the industry and, you know, the creative sort of sites like YouTube or Twitch or anything like that. But there are definitely some areas where I think there is still a lot of open sort of room for people to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think people, yeah, people are very complex with what they want to watch online. And, you know, obviously everyone's going to have different tastes. And because of that fact, there is always going to be a need for something, um, you know, creative that people want to watch. It will constantly be a need for people to be entertained. You can't sustain yourself off of everything that's just been there and then stop it and then be like, okay, all that entertainment that's been creative, um, that's it.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
you
why
can
there's a
only
new
watch those
reality
things.
TV show like every 3 months. You know, there's
Yeah,
like a new.
exactly.
I can't keep up. You know, there's now Love
Yeah,
Island, Winter Love Island. I was like, when did that
yeah,
happen?
exactly. Like we can, I feel like human beings can kind of get through quite a lot of stuff pretty quickly if they have the time and the energy to be able to get through that stuff. Like someone like me that's basically here on my computer all day, I'm watching YouTube videos and everything left and right whilst I do any other thing on my computer. Um, and yeah, I'd feel completely bored and desolate if I was to be like, oh well, there's nothing else being created now.
Hmm.
That's it. It's stopped. Like that would be so depressing just to think about, because then it's also people that aren't stepping up and wanting to be creative.
Yeah.
Uh, You know, there is. I'd say there will always definitely be a market out there. It's just a matter of being smart and, you know, sort of navigating your way through it.
Hmm.
I think if you're trying to do stuff that's already been done and is still being done to a high degree today, then you're going to have a hard time because, you know, it's you versus the thousands of other people that have that same idea.
Yeah.
It's about being more original and smart with it. It's about being like, okay, what's an idea that someone else hasn't done, or something that's lesser known, and just making that and getting it into the spotlight pretty much. So
Yeah.
yeah, it really just depends what area of like the industry or area of content you want to get into, because I could easily turn around and say, well, I want to get into the film industry. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, me and the millions of others that also want to get into the film industry, because we all love and enjoy films.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. It's a matter of, okay, what other route can I take? What is the actual thing that I want to do in the industry?
Hmm.
Is there a alternative version of that? You know, do I need to go to these big companies like Warner Brothers and all these other big film studios, or can I go for something more independent, and just something that's on a smaller scale that can reach to that height maybe in the future? You
Yeah.
know, it's all about just working on it. You can't get to a high position in less than a week, and you can't get to be in a company that might be well known off if you're starting small in a week. It just requires time and patience, really.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And do you think people are enjoying the hard work? Because for me myself, I've had to
Hmm.
come off social media
Yep.
because I find myself that I'm constantly comparing myself to people on there, but I'm
Hmm.
comparing myself to where they are, and where I am. And I don't find myself looking into their journey. I'll Google what they've done and,
Right.
their net worth. I'm so bad for that. I really expose myself. I'm so bad for Googling people's net worth. I'm like, how much you
Yeah.
earning? But I'm not looking at the jobs that they had to volunteer with, the jobs that didn't pay them and how long it actually took them before they got their
Hmm.
first recognized gig. So do you think people are still invested into the journey, or do you think everybody's just invested in the final sort of product? You know?
Yeah. So yeah, I think more than not, people are probably more invested into the final product. I think the people that will make it are the people that will be invested into that journey, and
Mm-hmm.
the people that are just invested into that final thing and wanting to just wake up one morning and be like, I'll post this video and I'll just make it. I'll just be there. Are the
Yeah.
people that are just like, that are either going to get extremely lucky or are extremely deluded. Because things like that just can't happen overnight unless you get lucky. That's
Yeah.
it. It's just there's a lot of young sort of creators, especially creators that maybe go on like TikTok or things like that, that will make a video, and they'll make it because someone big recognized them and they just got lucky. And that's most of the time you speak to these young creators and they'll be like, it was just the right place at the right time. And you can't rely on that. Like, it might happen, it might not, but if you want to go for something more solidified, you will put in the time, you'll put in the effort, and it will pay off. But that's down to your determination, because if you get, let's say, halfway through the journey, or like 90% through the journey, and there's only 10% left, because you'll never know those percentages of how long you have left. But if you get to 90% and immediately say, oh, I'll give up, I'm not going to make it, I just give up, you only had that 10% left to go. You just didn't realize.
I'm sorry, I just need to write that down. That's so smart. Yeah.
Exactly. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never thought about it like that, but that is true. You'll never know the percentage you've got left to actually get to where you want. So you've got to keep going.
Yeah. So you've got to keep going, because there is that odd chance that it will be the last day that you have to keep going. And on that day could be your make or break. And if you decide, I just want to give up, then again, you'll never know. You could have kept going and you could have made it. It's just one of those things where you have to have that internal drive, that internal passion for these things. So yeah, I'd say that to anyone. Just treat it like that always. I don't rely on just making it big because of one lucky video, because quite frankly, that sort of thing is getting slimmer and slimmer, I think, in this sort of day and age, because, you know, with that oversaturation, there's a lot of things that you just can't do anymore, and you're going to have to work hard at. So yeah, definitely definitely get interested in the journey and the effort it takes into it, because I feel like it's a lot more rewarding as well. Because another sort of saying that I go by is, the higher you rise, the quicker you'll fall. And I feel like you see that quite a lot. You'll see these celebrities or these creators that will break out.
Oh, I've lost you there.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
My mic got muted for some reason.
Yeah.
I think I hit the space bar, that's why. Yeah, so it's just like, you've got these celebrities and creators that will break out, and they'll be huge names, and then in a month's time, where are they? Like, they've just completely disappeared off the face of the earth.
Absolutely.
And, you know, a lot of the time they just can't recreate that lucky video that they made, and eventually people will drop off. Whereas if you have a slow, considerate journey and you have consistent content, then you know you can make it, and you know that people enjoy that whole thing because they've been watching your stuff. So yeah, and
people have somewhere else to refer to, as opposed to just one video and one thing. You know, they can know you for multiple different layers, so and that'll help them keeping engaged. And so how do you keep yourself motivated, especially when you're seeing no jobs coming up, or, you know, if you're seeing everybody else is getting experience, and especially jobs, you know, they're all like experience, but nobody wants to give you the experience, you know. They're like, get experience. I'm like, I'm gonna get it. So how do you keep yourself still staying up and be like, focus on the journey, it's gonna be worth it?
Yeah, so that's definitely more relevant now, I feel like, because right now I'm trying to get part-time jobs and experience, and they all seem to, I mean, now is definitely more of an exception, because COVID has made it extremely difficult. Because it's you versus not only the other people that are in the same boat, but people that have also lost their jobs, you know, unemployed or furloughed or anything like that, that are also then trying it. So essentially, you've just doubled the amount of people that are
people that
now
found
trying
passions as well. You know, a lot of people they're like, I've actually always been interested into this. Now I'm going to try and get into it.
Exactly.
Definitely,
So
the pool's tripled.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty much done exactly that. There's millions and millions of people that you're competing against for even the littlest of jobs now, because jobs are, you know, everyone's going through a hard time. Like companies are just laying people off left and right because they just can't afford it because they're losing so much money. So yeah, it's definitely difficult now. But more in a general sense, I'd say, yeah, you just have to keep going. You just have to remind yourself that something will come up. You just have to set yourself reminders, write it down if you have to, but something will come up. You know, if you tell yourself that it's not going to happen, then it's not going to happen because you're going to give up and you're going to get into that state of mind where everyone that may even want to give you a job is just now going to be disinterested in you because you are disinterested. You know, you have to keep the appearance and the mentality of there will be something. I just have to be patient and there will be something. You know, I just have to keep going on this journey and working hard and eventually something will come up. It won't, you know, it might be tomorrow, it might be 3 months time, but something will come up. Yeah, you just have to keep believing that. And a part of it, yeah, is just strictly based on, yeah, if you just have enough determination to tell yourself each morning that you're going to get up, you're going to apply to more jobs, and you're going to do things in your own spare time that are going to get you noticed. Yeah, it is all solely down to you at that point because, you know, unless you have the connections in place and someone can give you that job, which a lot of people, it's quite rare for someone to just have, let's say, a dad or an uncle that will be like, oh, I'll just get you a job because I own this company. It's just not, it's not realistic for everyone. So yeah, you just have to tell yourself that you're going to make it. It's going to be difficult, sure, but that's just the sole course of life. Everything's difficult, but yeah, you just, it doesn't get easier, but it's the fact that once you reach that goal, then you'll be happy. You'll find some form of an enlightenment, basically. So,
yeah. And especially like during these difficult times, like how important is it to lean on friends and family, even those who aren't in the creative industry, but can still offer their support? Or do you find yourself saying, oh, they won't get it, so I'll sort of won't speak to them about the issues I'm experiencing?
Right. I think I used to be like that. I used to be like, I'm not going to speak to them because they don't know what I'm going through and they don't know the industry that I want to get into. So what's the point? They're just going to turn around and be like, I don't know. Or say something general or generic that I'm just be like, well, I can hear that from any sort of self-help thing. So what's the point? Yeah, exactly. But I think I've definitely changed my mindset on that. And although someone that might not be in the creative industry can't relate to it 100%, it's always good to just air out any sort of problems that you have because they'll, especially if they're a good listener, because sometimes that's all you need to do is just vent. Is just get your problems off of your chest. Just holding them in isn't good. It's just the more you hold on to something, it's like holding on to a grenade. The more you hold on to a grenade, the less time you have. Like it's gonna tick down, and eventually you're gonna have to let go of it, and it's gonna blow up in your face. Whereas if you pull the pin and you throw it away immediately, you don't have to worry about any of that. You know, if you get the problems off of your chest as soon as you can identify they're there, and you have someone, friends or family that are willing to listen, then use them because they're so important, especially now with COVID happening. You know, if you're living with people that are there and are going to listen to you, then yeah, definitely talk to them because holding it in isn't good for anyone. It's definitely not good for yourself and your own mental state, and eventually it will probably affect people around you because you're not going to be in a good mood and you're going to take out on the others immediately around you. So yeah, I'd say any struggle to do with jobs or just even your own mental well-being, just definitely talk to someone, even if it's on a Zoom call like this. I do like a weekly Zoom call with a couple of friends, just so we can keep in contact, and we just talk about films and the industry in general. So, and that just keeps us a bit more sane, I guess. So yeah, definitely do something like that.
So what? Oh, that's really nice. When you guys do talk films, because when I talk films, it's usually recommending,
Right.
or discussing something that it'll be generally most people are watching. Bridgerton or something like that, and trying to put my own 2 cents in. What do you as film students actually discuss? I actually want to know. Yeah.
I mean, that's part of it. I feel like there are still like film recommendations and things like
Yeah.
that, and just the general sort of, yeah, I feel like that's just the sort of basic thing that everyone can just relate to of like, oh, I saw this really great film or this really great TV show. You need to give it a watch. Things
Yeah.
like that. So we still do that. Um, but we like to delve in a little bit more, not just about films themselves, but like the industry as a whole. If there's any news that's happening, like what was a good example? I think there was some news that came out about Tom Cruise and him doing the next Mission Impossible film,
Yeah.
and he basically was shouting at the crew
Yeah.
because
Oh yeah,
they
I heard
weren't,
that.
yeah, because they weren't following COVID lines,
Mm-hmm.
and
They were
people
about
were
it, weren't
trying
they?
to,
Yeah.
yeah, people were trying to turn it around on him and say, well, people shouldn't be acting like that and everything. But I'm just like, but we discussed it and we kind of came to the conclusion that it's like, in a way, it was justified because he in himself is the producer of this film. It is on his shoulders to make this product and to basically give people that are also working on this production jobs.
Mm-hmm.
That's solely
That's
down
one
to
of the
him.
things. Yeah.
And if people aren't following COVID guidelines and someone ends up getting COVID, they have to shut it all down.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone loses their jobs because in industry work like that, you can't get furloughed because the
Yeah.
money that you make is from the product being made.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, yeah, it's very difficult. And so he's probably up most nights contacting people and making sure that they can still film
Mm-hmm.
and making sure that people are going to still get paid.
Yeah.
Like he is solely responsible for many people's well-beings and
Yeah.
livelihoods. So it's definitely a stressful time, and for someone to come up on set and not wear a mask or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that, it's probably going to send them off the rails.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be
Yeah, I
like,
thought the whole situation was very disrespectful,
yeah,
especially thinking that they were in a very privileged situation, to be working on set and still doing what they love doing and getting paid for it, to be
yeah,
employed in this environment that we're now in this situation, within COVID, it's a blessing.
oh
It
yeah,
really is a blessing. So yeah, to take that for granted and then completely disrespect Tom Cruise and work
mm-hmm.
and everybody else that's working to, flatten the curve and everything. It was very disrespectful. I 100
Mm.
was like, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, when
for
I
sure.
just read a little headline or something like that, just a little article and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, yeah, for sure. I
Yeah,
didn't even know he
definitely.
was filming, but
I
yeah.
think it
And
was
I also,
just someone taking the audio. Like, I think someone just recorded it on their phone because
yeah,
I don't know if there's a video, but I've only heard the audio for it. And I feel like in his mind, he was going to record this audio, give it to the press, and make money and be like, oh, Tom's being a dick, basically. And it's just like, well,
mm-hmm,
no, he's just trying to be responsible. And you
mm-hmm,
guys are making it so difficult for him when he's the producer and he's directing and he's acting in this sort of thing.
yeah,
So it's a lot for one guy to just handle. So sometimes when people just push you in that sense, you're just like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm going to snap basically because, yeah, you are being disrespectful, not just to him, but to everyone else that wants to keep working.
yeah,
Um, yeah, so we talk about things like that and we just really try and dive deep into everything that's going on, and we watch
yeah.
trailers and we'll review them and all
Oh,
sorts. So, but we don't try and keep it strictly like serious. We try
yeah,
and make sure that we're still just being friendly and talking about whatever to each other. And yeah, we'll have some bit after. 'Cause we kind of format it like it's its own sort of show. We don't record it or
oh,
anything, but
yeah.
we actually set it up like it's we go on to different segments and like our own
Mm,
little podcast, but no one actually gets to see
yeah.
it. Um,
Why
so
don't you record it?
It's been brought up actually because it's not down to me. It's down to my friend Tom, because he's the one that actually made it what it is.
Yeah.
So it is his like sole property basically. Um, and someone did bring it up to him, and he did say he'd give it a think, but I'm not sure if he's just forgotten or if he just doesn't want to.
Or bring it up again. Say somebody's brought it up
Yeah,
again.
yeah, I'll definitely do that.
Because it sounds good, and I feel like you guys will, if you know what, if it's viewed, you guys will give another insight into film, films and stuff like that that we as viewers or as just normal people don't see, and it's really interesting to see your perspective of things as well.
Yeah, definitely.